Hi everyone, this is Kunal from Loop 91. Today we are talking about ServiceNow's Transform Data Brokers. What are they? How do you do it? And why do you do it? If you're wondering what a transform data source is, then it is when you add a data resource and then you go and click on create, you get an option to create a transform data source. Clicking on it will take you a new page where you define this transform data broker. And if you're wondering why we need to do this, is simply to extend ServiceNow. ServiceNow does provide a lots of data resources out of the box, but they may or actually will never cover all requirements that you have for your development. And that is where you create your own custom transform data brokers. Today we are diving deep into two distinct flavors of data brokers: data retrieval, how to write a server script that pulls data autonomously and messages into a clean format that your UI builder wants; data mutation, how to pass user input back to the server to securely modify data via scripts when a standard button action will not do the work. To understand, we will look at two examples, each for data retrieval and data mutation. Now for our first example, what we need to do is that we need to put a drop down on our page, and it should contain list of incidents that are marked as high priority. Now, way this is working, what you see on the screen is simple, that we have set up a drop down and set up some values manually here. So what you can do is you can click on it and look at the JSON object for it. And if you see, the amount of data that it needs is actually very simple. It does pad up a few things, but we can remove this if we need it to. So we can remove everything that is here. So it basically needs minimum of two things. One is ID and second is label. So let's delete everything from here. And what we will see is this is the bare minimum that we need. We will copy it multiple times and change the ID to make sure they don't clash. Apply, save, and reload here. But the thing is, I don't want to see it in this format. What I want to see is this format, where first part of the string is the incident number and second part is its short description. Right now, this could be done using our normal data resources, but what we are trying to demo today is a transform data resource. So for that, what we will do is we will quickly go to the UI builder and we will add a new. Now that we need to create a custom data transform resource, so we'll click here and then click on transform. It will open up a new tab, and here we will define how our data broker works. So we will write get high priority incidents. Properties is where you would define what are the input that you will take from UI builder. Since in this particular case we do not need it, we will keep it empty. We can put in some description. That is something that will show up in UI builder interface. But for the best part, for the part that actually makes this work, is the script function. Now the function has to be called transform. There is no way around it. But surprisingly, ServiceNow does not pre-populate it, but you need to do this. So what we'll do is we will quickly run incident gr is equal to new GlideRecord incident, and we will incident gr add query priority, and we will mark that as 1, that is high priority, and we will also make sure that they are active, and we will order by descending sys created on. And since this is just an example, we will set limit to 10 records for now, and I think that is it. Query, and we will run incident.next, this would be a standard run-of-the-mill GlideRecord queries, but now we need to create a return object, right? So what we will do is, let's expand this, and we will now create variable return array equals to an empty array, and for each we will create a new object. Remember we discussed that for Dropdown we need just two properties, ID and label, so that is exactly what we will do. And ID we will keep as the Sys ID, and label would be the way we wanted it to. So it would start incident dot label, oh sorry, it's not label, it's number to string, and we will add a cap and incident.gr get short description to string. Although it's a string, but I have a bit of adding to string to every way. So yeah, so this is done. Now we have that ready. Once the loop is complete, we will return array. That's about it, right? So the transform function is now written. It will query all the incidents that have high priority, number one, and it will filter out only active queries, and once we run the query, we will get at max 10 records with such details. We will add those as an object to the return array, and once we're done with that, we'll simply return the array. Now we can define the output schema. Output schema is important when your UI builder shows you and it expects the value that you will get from this data broker. Now you would think because this will run and it has the value, it will show you the actual values, but there is a scenario, for example, if you were to set up a query where there might not be any output, and in that case ServiceNow UI builder needs to know and needs to expect a fixed output schema, and that is what we will define. Now I will copy paste, we already have it here, right? So what it expects is that it's an array of object with properties ID and label, each of which is a string. So now that we have decided, we have defined this data broker script, we will save it. There are a few things that we did not do, we will cover in the next example, but for now this is a data broker that will query incident table, look up priority incidents, top priority incidents, and return array of objects with those. Now if I were to go and refresh my UI builder page, and if I were to now try to add data resource, and you will see that our created get high priority incidents is now available. If I add it here, I do not get any response, and it says ACL did not allow execution. What this means that whenever you create a custom data broker, you need to create an ACL that allows only limited set of people to run that data broker. So we will quickly jump to our ACLs and create a new one. Remember, to create a new ACL, you have to have security admin role, and you need to elevate your role to being a security admin. Once you are on the form to create a new ACL, change the type to data broker. It will automatically change to execute, because that is the only thing you can do on a data broker. Then where it asks you for a name, now there's a possibility that you might see this kind of interface where you need to choose from a drop down, but that is not what we need. What we need to do is click on this caret and it will change it to a single text, and what we need to do is put in the Sys ID of our data broker. So we'll copy the Sys ID here, put in here, and we need to now define who would be able to access this. Since this is a demo, I will choose admin and save this. Once you save this, we will quickly jump to our data broker, and now you can see we actually have output, and we see the data that we were expected from it, and the label is in expected format, incident number, hyphen, and the short description. Now let's quickly configure our drop down to use these values. So we will go to our select box, click here on list. In place of this, we'll click to bind data or use script, data resource, get high priority incident output, and we will use the output value here. Save it, and we will refresh our page, output page, and there you have it. For our second demo, we will build on what we already created in part 1. What you see on the screen is that we have a drop down with incident number and the short description. Now the manager wants that once I select a value from this drop down, I should be able to see the description of that incident and possibly allow me to assign that incident to myself. So what I would do is that I will create a new box here that will show the description upon selection of an incident here, and below it would be a button that says assign to me, and clicking on that, it should assign that to the current user. So let's take it in two parts. Quickly, we will add on the UI, we will remove this or we'll keep it. What we'll do is we will select this and select an event, item selected, and we should select create a client state parameter to set the sys ID on. Create a new client set parameter, active incident, it will be a string, and value after to use we will select event payload item. Remember the item is, then we have to use .id because that is what we have in our item. Okay, add, and to quickly see if it works, what I'll do is I will copy this string and put it on this in place of the actual text. What we will do is client state, and on this quickly set this, apply, refresh, we'll go to the output page, refresh the page. Now you will see that is empty. The moment I select, it should show you the sys ID of selected incident. We'll quickly go back here and add another data source. We will say look up a single record, and table would be incident, and we will select a record, which means we need to provide the sys ID, and we will use it from our client state, active incident, apply, and we will select only when invoked because by default that value has a 0 value there. So that is it. Save, and below our incident we will create, below our short description we will create another style text where we will show that description. So we will show data source, single record, items there. Oh wait, we did not select the fields that we need to gather. Return fields, add, and description, done, and we will add that here. Data resource level record. Is still not getting the description. Result description, right? So display value, apply, and save. We'll quickly go back to our output page, and we see everything is empty, but the moment we change it, we see the sys ID and we also see the description that is there. Now we will add a button that will assign this to us. So we will add another, we'll add button, assign incident to me, right? we will quickly do one thing, hide component if the client state formulas. So we will see if that is empty, it should be hidden. If it is not, it will hide it. Apply. So by default the button will not show up. We will refresh the page. And you see, assign the incident to me. Now what we need to do is we will create a new data resource and we will create yet another transform one, and this will be assign incident to current user. Now if you remember, the previously we did not select mutate server data. We need to click that now, and the reason behind it is very simple. We are declaring on data broker that this data broker will mutate, transform, change the data on the server. And why is this important? Because once you click it, ServiceNow will not call this data broker unless the system asks it to. Whereas the previously the ServiceNow expecting it to be a read-only operation, so it could call it 100 number of times, would not matter. But because this is modifying data, it will only call when asked to. Now we would need input on this data broker because we need to know which Sys ID incident has to be mutated, transformed, right? So we will create a property value here, and let me copy it. I have that ready. So it is a array of object, and the name is Incident Sys ID, and the label is Incident Sys ID. So this is different because the name would be available to us in script, and the label is what UI builder will show to end user. It cannot be read only, and it has to be a string. The most important, it is a mandatory value, which means user would not be able to call this data broker unless this value is provided. Now let's quickly write our transform script, transform function, and we will get incident sys ID. Let's copy the name directly from here so that we don't make a mistake, and it will be input dot incident sys ID. And if not incident sys ID, we will return empty. But if we have it, we will incident gr is equal to new GlideRecord incident, and incident we will try to get this record dot get incident sys ID. If we get the value, we will set value assigned to be the current user, get user ID, incident dot update, right? And then we will return an object saying status, let's call it success, not status, and let's make it a boolean true, and message would be incident was assigned to you. That is it. That is what we want to say. But if we couldn't find the incident, we will still return our value, and that will be return will be false, and message would be system couldn't locate the incident, no changes made. That's it, so that the user knows what exactly happened. So we'll quickly save this. So what we got is an error, invalid JSON for data properties. Okay, right, so this is wrong. This has to be closing the bracket, not the curly braces. Yeah, so now we have it. Now we need to define the output schema so that our UI builder will know how it would looks like. So let's quickly set that. As before, I have that ready. So the output would be an object where the properties would be success and message. The success would be boolean and message would be a string. So let's save it, and we will add this to our UI builder. We need to clear our cache so that we can get the new data brokers. While this load, if you remember, we had to create an ACL for previous data broker, and we will do that now again. So assign incident, we will copy the sys ID and quickly jump to previously created ACL. We will simply change the sys ID and insert with roles. That will create a copy of this record with the new sys ID. And that should be it. Now we can jump to our UI builder and add the resource that we just recently created and assign the incident to current user. Now if you see, what we did was we added this name, we did not add a description, so it is no description available. But for a change this time, it says that you need to provide incident sys ID for this to work. So we will add this, and we need to set up the sys ID somewhere else, right? So now we need to trigger assigning it to the current user using the button. So we will go to and select event, and let's go to assign user to this one, execute, continue, and set the values. We already have set up our client state for this. Apply and done. Now for user to know whether this worked or not, what we will do is we will quickly go to assign to this, and on events and event mapping, operation succeeded. We will set this up and we will add a notification. Let it load, alert 1 and heads up, incident was assigned to you, and that is it. Let's make it the green one, that is positive. Add and save. Alright, so we'll close this, we'll go to this page. Alright, we'll select an incident and we will quickly open this record to make sure that what we do is correct. We'll open it using SNUtils. Now you can see the assigned to is Beth Angling, and we are logged in as a system administrator. So this should change the value here to us. So assign incident to me, and incident was assigned to you. And if you go here, the value has recently changed from Beth Angling to system administrator. Thank you guys for watching. As always, if you like our content, subscribe. If you really like it, you're being generous, share it with others. Bye bye.